of going. Just you've got just a reminder that the scapula is free relative to the ribs and the vertebral column. That's why you have all those muscles that have to come in, like the trapezius and the rhomboids that hold it in place, or that serratus ventralis. But you do have the connection from between the scapula over to the sternum through the clavicle. That's the only direct bony connection to any part of the rib cage. And then the scapula itself, we'll do, this is, if we take the scapula away, you've got this, for me, the defining feature is the spine that leads up to that acromion process, which comes around to form part of the shoulder joint with the head of the humerus. You've also got this other piece, the coracoid process, that also forms part of the shoulder joint, and this is called the glenoid fossa, means carved out piece there. And the whole, like, the socket of the ball and socket fills in with tendons or ligaments in the shoulder region. So that's why it kind of looks wide open, but it all fills in with a lot of ligaments in the shoulder joint, which we're not really focusing on that much. And then you also have the scooped out regions for some of these rotator cuff muscles that come to the shoulder. Under the spine of the scapula, the infraspinous fossa. Above the spine of the scapula, the supraspinous fossa. And if we look on the undersurface of the scapula, the subscapular fossa. That's pretty good for the scapula. For the humerus, I kind of like the one over here. There's some of those ligaments of the shoulder joint. There's the head of the humerus. Actually, come back over here. So in this case, you've got just on the anterior aspect these two bumps coming off, tubercles, greater and lesser, meaning the larger and smaller one, and between them the intertubercular groove, which in life has the tendon of the biceps muscle. Sometimes we call it the bicipital groove running through there. As you come down to the distal end, you're going to have the joint surfaces, which is the capitulum that articulates or joins with the radius, and the trochlea means pilly in Latin. The capitulum is like a dome, like a capital dome, same root, capitulum, capital. And the trochlea means pulley. It's got that pulley shape that articulates with the ulna, joins with the ulna bone. Those are condyles, rounded joint surfaces. On the sides, we have epicondylar processes, the medial epicondyle, the lateral epicondyle sticking off. That's actually the olecranon fossa, which is for this piece of the ulna that sticks out over here, called the olecranon process, and probably nice to see that on here. There's that part of the joint of the ulna that articulates with the trochlea, the pulley, the olecranon process, the cornoid process, and then the head of the radius, which forms a pivot joint with this notch on the ulna, the radial notch on the ulna, articulating with the head of the radius. One of those radioulnar joints that allow for that pronation and supination. You go to the other end and you have the head of the ulna articulating with the little notch on the radius, what's called the ulnar notch on the radius, and together, if you kind of put it in place on my hand, it lets you see how the radius kind of pivots over the ulna, allowing for that pronation and supination. From there, you've got the carpal bones, and then the digits, the metacarpal at the base of each digit in life embedded in the palm of your hand, so they're there as like separate bones, but you don't see them separated, and then the phalanges forming the free movable part of each digit. 3 phalanges in each of the digits except the thumb. There's 2.